try to keep it as brief as possible, but as detailed as possible as well, for um, people to understand, especially people that the people that have not been following our discourse. And this is a response to President Barrow's statement at the North Bank that he is running for a third term. I want to put the facts here, and I say facts because there are evidence to it, and it's something that some of us knew for a long time. At first, we addressed, does it matter if President Barrow runs for a third term or not? What does really matter? Constitutionally, he can run for third term. What does that do? What does that do to our democracy is for us to decide. We know it's not good for our democracy, but constitutionally, he has the right to run for a third term. Then that's to answer the question whether it matters. It matters because it's not good for our democracy. What are we going to do about that? But again, what really matters? Is it about President Barrow running, or the NPP as a party, or whatever you call them, as a coalition being in government? I think this is what we should think about. The NPP being in government, regardless of who their candidate is. The opposition, that's what they should be really caring about. I am not saying that the opposition did not have the moral right to question President Barrow third term. I'm not saying that citizens don't have the right to question his third term or push to stop him from running for a third term. I'm not saying that. But what really matters here, it's an NPP government continuing in that country. And in the discussion, we are going to point out the reasons why it's not a good thing. We already have seen where it led us. Now, I've posted the oligarchs and President Barrow's third term. That is going to be in detail to explain what I meant by these oligarchs. These people that became rich out of the state. Some are business people, but they are government patrons. Others are government employees, civil servants. Their position and what's going on about this third term issue. I think Gambians need to get that. We'll touch a little bit about the toll. They call it industrial toll. I have not seen any industries they toll. But this is what Macky Sall used to do and call it economic toll. Now, what is this third term about? President Barrow is not telling the truth. President Barrow is deflecting. President Barrow is not prepared to run for a third term. That's a fact. I will say this, I'll not mind to go back onto giving a detailed explanation for people that have not come across my explanations before. This position of President Barrow not running for a third term started after he finished his first term, when he was running for his second term. We got the information that, oh, this will be his last term. And obviously, some of us did not believe it. We said, it's just a plow to relax people, to say, okay, let's give him a second chance and we prepare and get him out for the third term. That's what we thought. It went on after they stole the elections. They did everything in order to get him in power. But during that time, they realized what they have to deal with in this time we are in. They realize the challenges they have already faced. They realize the situation that will be so dire that if Gambians are organized, then he will be in trouble. That's why President Barrow don't want us to organize. That's why his strategy is always making Gambians to focus on UDP so that he can do whatever he wants. He wants to divide us and make sure UDP to a boogeyman out there and he can get away with what he does. Let's move on. They know all the challenges. And some of the challenges are personal. Personal that one, President Barrow have amassed so much wealth. And that wealth started during the impasse in Senegal. Just a minute. I want to give you the exact figure. Recently, we came across the figure. The minute government changed in Senegal, now we are having information that we could not even access before. But we knew about some of these. And I'll tell you how much President Barrow made, estimately how much he made whilst during the impasse. And why some of the people around President Barrow, you saw them became rich the minute they came into government. It's because of what President Barrow gave them, or their share of the loot. The share of the loot from Senegal. Just a minute. It's buried in information here. But what this is about, okay, thank you. What this is about is, whilst President Barrow was in Senegal during the impasse, and it's about an $83 million in a bank in Hong Kong, and that account was run by Amadou Samba, and that account was run because from proceeds of drug trafficking. $83 million. Handed over to Senegal by Amadou Samba to protect the 1 billion in the Panama accounts. That's what happened. Senegal gave $10 million to open an account for President Barrow for $10 million out of the $83 million handed to Senegalese government. And if I say the government, it was in Senegalese intelligence, which was working with President Barrow and Macky Sall. Probably the rest of the money went to Macky Sall directly, but the share was 10 million. And think about the people who were around Barrow at that time. And when the minute they came into Gambia, some of them bought properties. We know that they can afford properties over $10 million. Over $10 million, some of them. That's where it started. This is the reason why the Barrow government will never go after Jammeh's assets outside the jurisdiction of the Gambia. Ask yourself, Gambia. Ask yourself, which government have been deposed, especially a dictatorship, and the sitting government did not go after the loot of that person outside the jurisdiction. Don't tell me about the Potomac apartment mansion in America. That was done by the American government. It's not that Gambia government requested. Gambia government have not requested once to look into the accounts of Jammeh outside of the Gambia. Jammeh have run accounts in the Caribbean through Amadou Samba and I think Caribbean and Nigerian lawyers under the AG chambers. They came into the Gambia then under the AG chambers, which warranted once that Yahya Jammeh traveled to the Caribbean to send Vince or one of the small Caribbean things. That was the reason so that those accounts should be open. And those accounts are linked to drug trafficking. Yaya Jammeh, we all know, have assets in Morocco. Even the Janneh Commission have pointed out through the protocol of money sent to Morocco for properties to be built. Yaya Jammeh have properties in Guinea-Conakry. And so to an extent, even the properties in Equatorial Guinea is owned by Yaya Jammeh. It's not given to Yaya Jammeh. Not to talk of other assets he have other places. These are most of the money he acquired through, drug trafficking, money laundering to the Babanisi funding Sisohos operations, the Mobutu Sese Seko's operation, the Abacha operations, all those things he entangled himself, the operations with Victor But, the Russian gone these things, and orders and orders. And the 1 billion, Amadou Samba cannot work, acquire 1 billion from the Gambian economy. He was mainly active in the Gambian economy. And that's only one account, $1 billion. He would never go, go for that property. $1 billion. Why didn't you go for $1 billion? Amadou Samba has said that he was Yaya Jammeh's business manager. Let's move on. Barrow was never interested in governance. No. It was about money. And he started having that money when he was in Senegal. And came back to the Gambia and obviously continued, and he have a lot of it right now, and still he is acquiring some. And he have put in mechanism to continue to make money because of the things he took over from us. There's a project called the Islamization Project that Yaya Jammeh started, that Barrow went into. And we know Usman Sow, went to Saudi Arabia and brought money in bags. Lots of money. That's where they started building those mosques in the NIA, the State House, and other locations, and other relationships. That stopped due to certain interventions that happened. But let's say he was not interested in anything but money. Now, I said personal problems because of he just wanted money, and he have accumulated that much in the Gambia and outside the Gambia. He have properties in Senegal, properties, not one. And Sirif Tambedu is the lawyer who goes to Senegal and do the convenience. Go and find out. Both for him and the wife, Fatima Barrow. They are now buying properties in the US, buying properties in the UK here. The first lady, through the auntie, is they are buying properties, cheap properties in Hull and other northern counties in the UK and converting it to commercial let. They are filthy rich. We all know how much property they acquire in the Gambia. We don't even know how much, but we have seen evidence of properties acquired in the Gambia in the short run. He's got that money. But the second thing is President Barrow is challenged medically. You think he's just sleeping because he likes to sleep? No. Because of the medication he have to take. The reason President Barrow don't travel that much, don't go to conferences that he have no control over. He tried to attend just to make sure he legitimized his position as the head of state. This is the reason his medical condition, which I'm not going into, is private, but what it concerns us as citizens that he is unhealthy. And I can give you proof of that as well. Because there are witnesses and people know what had happened. The first trip that President Barrow went to a conference in Saudi Arabia, when Ousseynou Dabo was the External Affairs Minister, Mai Fati was the Interior Minister. That was the first time Gambians have witnessed President Barrow slumped over the chair, sleeping like someone in his King's Star bed, or whatever you call it, because of the amount of medication he have to take. President Barrow was sitting on a wheelchair up to the entrance of the conference center. Go and find out from the bodyguards, go and find out from the protocol officers, go and find out from the ministers that attend. If you have a relationship with the ministers or bodyguards that attended that thing, go and find out. It was that trip On the way coming back on a private jet, Gambians can, if you follow through, you will remember a picture that my father took. And he did a selfie with President Barrow. President Barrow was not even sitting properly. He was slinging again. Because part of what is dealing with is a very bad bag. I mean, the cause of the bad bag, I don't know. But we all know, I mean, it's many reasons can cause that bad bag, but severe. This is when he landed at the airport, he was walking like a penguin. This is where the penguin walk came in, this thing, because he was struggling to work. Few weeks after that, he had to attend a Q City. He had to attend the opening of Q City because of Muhammad Jah was coming. He did not want to go. But it was for diplomatic reasons that Muhammad Jah is coming to the country, and I think that might have been their first time. He had to go to Q City. Go and find out people who were around him. How long he took him on the stairs. How long he took him on the stairs. And as I said, there are other medical conditions that he needs to attend. But he can't attend to them the way he should. Go and find out his medical details right now. Why constantly there's a doctor around him. And why they choose that particular doctor. Go and find out how constantly they had to put the ambulance on standby. And you think he's just sleeping because he likes to sleep? No. Because of the medication he have to take. And he needs to go to be attended. But he can't. Because he's not, secure. His absence. This will lead us to another briefing. His choice of vice president. You see, when President Barrow said about, I want a vice president who is not ambitious. People take it as, he's talking about Lawyer Dabo, he's talking about Aissatou Touré, he's talking about Fatuma Tambajang. No. There's a reason for that. Part of the brief, the security brief, is this. I've talked about this before. It might be a repetition to some of you guys, but I'm just doing it for others. Because this is a very important thing to note. The reason is the brief was don't get an ambitious vice president or someone with a political clout or a base. Because of, in case that there's an emergency, that you needed to be evacuated and be treated and stayed outside, they will not take you out. Secondly, they said to him, don't get a vice president who have connections or relationship to Senegal. Because of if that, this was when Macky Sall was the president, I'm talking about. When he will have to appoint a vice president. That's how he came out to appoint Diouf, the late Diouf, Badara Diouf. Don't appoint a president that has connections to Senegal, because if things become difficult, not only to you in health, but if the Gambians started to put pressure, Senegal might just replace you with that person without your authority. These were part of it. Telling you, President Barrow was not ready for at that time. Now he's looking at how to manage this. Unfortunately, Badara Diouf, and the other thing is someone articulate or someone of a technocrat background to support you, to represent you, because he will not be attending conferences or places that. There are certain things I don't want to talk about, but they are evident even within when he goes to political rallies and others. Those who know. Those who knows. But it went on. That part of the challenges too was our relationship with Senegal. Macky Sall's future. They were anticipating this situation and the continued presence of economic in the Gambia. These were kind of the issues that they analyzed to prepare him. And all this led to President Barrow realizing that at that time was not going to be a good idea. The second time we got this information was after the elections, after 2021 elections. we got the information that in fact Wage of Senegal, his friend, was some part of a group that have approached Boisedi of the central bank that they would make him an NPP candidate because Barrow was not going to run for that term. Again, we dismiss it off, looking for rationale. We're looking for rationals. I mean, not completely dismissed, but at that moment I said, look, these people are business people. They just want to win the confidence of Bois and do stuff. But later on within, we started to have information from all the groups within the NPP trying to position themselves. And yeah, Boisedi was, I mean, with the Senegalese guy Wage, he have some of the UDP guys in NPP, former UDP guys in NPP were run to this thing because they were angry because of the APRC arm of NPP have pushed them out. Alkali Contes and others. Now they are angry. They want to make sure they ensure the next candidate coming in for NPP would be their candidate, and Boisedi was in the frame. That's why you see some of the announcement and dealings of Boisedi are all towards building up a political leverage. All this nonsense about central bank going for social, corporate social responsibilities and all those things was that. And part of Boisedi's team, that's where the former IG, who is now Interior Minister Sanyang, and the people like the contractor Lamin Sedikan with the former Interior Minister, former Interior Minister Siaka Sonko and others, because of all their relationship, Sedikan, who have been implicated in many times in drug trafficking. All that thing were part of this entity. This is where within the APRC in NPP became a struggle between Sidinjai and the former DG SIS Sow. And this was what led Sow into cabinet, preparing himself, taking the position of local government and lands to build his political leverage. So that coming to time, he would convince to take over. And the third, I talked about the UDP within, who are trying to get a candidate. I've talked about the APRC trying to get a candidate. And we all know what happened to Sow. He is recovering. You can still see his right. His right hand side. I have to touch here so that you can see it in the screen as his right. His right hand side is still not really mobile. His speech is still coming up. Technically, they've kind of written him out. But Sidinjai is still, and others within APRC are still putting their head over the parapet, trying to build political leverage. Then you have the Muhammad Jah and his group. That's why I'm talking about the oligarchs. Now Muhammad Jah and his group building, and we'll get to that. The minute we got the information of all the factions, and which were facts, evidence, because people who were involved, we got it from them. And it has been developing since. We have seen the evidences and so on. We continue to monitor. President Barrow's health have not improved with all the advices given to him. He still cannot keep to one meal a day and 2 snacks. That's his prescription. He's still eating double on a lunch. He is eating double meal on a lunch, and that's not including the dessert and other things he's fond of right now. And he's eating anything he wants to eat, to the extent that he and he suffered from breathing difficulties because of so much of what he eats. People around him think that there's something wrong with him when it comes to food, because he can't control himself. He's not doing the prescribed exercises and other things have been advised to do to try to control and manage so that they can have chance to this. Then President Barrow came out and said it himself when he met the Banyan Council of Elders or something or such during the not this Corite before, or this first Corite after the elections. That's 2022 Corite. He said it. Gambians had it. Oh, I am ready to retire now. I have already started to select my staff who would be working with me because I want to do social, I want to be a philanthropist. He said that. We all had that. I even started to look for the staff working with me right now. I want to do this. I want to have build my house. I want to retire. I don't want to leave this country. He said that. We all had that. It's all starting to make sense with all the evidences we have. Then, during his second visit of one of his visits to Oye's house, late Muhammad Jah, may his soul rest in peace. During his funeral, he sat comfortably. Nobody around him was talking about politics. He went into politics and he talked about his imminent retirement, giving a story about, I have to retire because, there's life after presidency, and his telling, his storytelling. People were witness. I wouldn't say something that is witness. And it started to look, why this obsession? Yes, it's for fun. After a few months, we saw an ex-president bill. Amendment bill, because there's already a law governing for ex-presidents, which Sadauda have benefited from, which was introduced in the time of Yahya Jammeh. That the salary of, pension salary or, detailed security details and stuff was all drafted. Why shouldn't they have to introduce a president amendment bill? And what's in that amendment bill? Everything that Barrow was asking for is that in that amendment bill. But again, Gambians, oh no, this is for Yahya Jammeh. Oh, Yahya Jammeh, Barrow wants Yahya Jammeh to come. I don't know why we keep on thinking this way. When things are in plain sight, even, we have to be conflicted. Or we are easily distracted because someone would suggest it because that person wants us to be. Or it's about Yahya Jammeh, obsession it's about this. No, we're talking about Yahya Jammeh. It's evident. Now, let's come to it. The oligarchs, because of this pull and pull now, we have the UDP within NPP trying to find a candidate because it's a marriage of convenience. They are all a syndicate of criminals. Whoever control it would eliminate the others, as we see them doing to each other. We see how influential Sow is. Even the cabinet reshuffle, Barrow have to wait for Sow to recover. I said at Freedom, this thing, I talked about the imminent, that Sow have to determine the cabinet they were going to have, but Muhammad Jah to have to determine certain positions in government. And we've seen that happen, the cabinet reshuffle. Now, let's come to these oligarchs. Now, this become a problem for Barrow. Now, who is going to succeed Barrow? Who's going to succeed Barrow? He have a problem here. How he wants to keep, Barrow wants two things. The person that he can trust to protect him after the presidency, so that he can stay in the country. As he said, he doesn't want to live in exile. And I can tell you one thing. In 2018, some people started to suggest Barrow exit strategy to the extent of introducing a family, a Senegalese family in Senegal, for Barrow to take a wife from that family. 2018. For Barrow to take a wife from that family, a young lady, barely 20 years old, so that it would be a base of his exit strategy with his properties in Senegal. I'm not going to go into details. There were reasons I know of why Barrow was not interested, but it was suggested to him. I know of the family, identified then, a Senegalese family in Senegal. I know the people who were behind that, but Barrow excused himself. It was intense. They say you have to prepare yourself. But right now, Barrow doesn't have an exit strategy. He wants to stay in the Gambia. And the oligarchs are taking advantage of this. Now, Barrow wants someone to protect him when he leaves office, so that he can stay in the Gambia, not be prosecuted for crimes he committed, not for the corruption and anything else, and he will continue to grow his wealth and his dynasty. Because it's evident that Barrow have built a dynasty. His sisters, his brothers, his nephews, are everywhere now. Ministers, almost running the ports. The business, in the private sector. Amadou Sane, Njaga Sane, is it Alima, the sister married to the IGP now. They are all, and Bully Barrow, they are all millionaires now. And none of these people had $1,000 in their account when Barrow came to power. And others, business interests Barrow has now. His friends, he put in strategic position to control Gulf Petroleum. Now there's a big cartel of Russians. I've talked about that. And Barrow and the wife represented by someone called Ibrahim Jabi, are controlling our oil things now, and orders. The second bit Barrow wants is to ensure that an NPP government wins elections. These are the two. Protect him and win elections. Now, if Barrow did not, you see, in succession, as Macky Sall have found out, it's not easy. The only time your succession planning is easy is good governance. You have nothing to fear. That I'm not saying that you have been an excellent leader, but you have controlled what have been happening in your country to the extent that this country would not see a need to go after you. But if you behave like Macky Sall, behave like other people, I can tell you, even the person who succeeds you might be in difficult position that they have to go after you in order to have to stabilize the country. We have seen that in Angola. We have seen that in Mauritania. We have seen that in other countries. Succession is so easy. Or you are absolutely strategic. In the case of General Rawlings, I'm not going into details, but look into General Rawlings, how strategic he is to ensure that he has committed crimes. But one thing he's not known of was corruption. But he has committed human rights crimes, which are even most cases that people will go after you. But he have managed, he was strategic enough that he have never been prosecuted, and he stayed in Ghana. It's unheard of. It was unheard of. Now, this thing, two things Barrow wants. And this thing have determined. Now, the infighting grew up. Now, Barrow would tell you guys, oh, I am going to run. And not only going to run, I'm going to run against Ousainou Darboe. He's going to make you guys to believe that he's running against Ousainou Darboe in order to make it about him and UDP, about him and Ousainou Darboe. Not us Gambians against him. That's why the opposition have to wise up. Opposition have to wise up. We'll get to that. Now, in this sense, Muhammad Jah had a leverage because of the money. Barrow so had a leverage because of the security sector, and because of he has the ears and eyes of Barrow, and have did a lot from election fraud, from controlling the drug cartel, and so the proceeds will come to Barrow, to the money that he got from the Islamization project that they have to abandon because of the pressure from the West. I'm not going to go into details. We don't have time for that. That trust. And knowing that he, in fact, trusted Saul because he knew Saul before coming to power. That's again, the evidence of this was after Saul's, how to call it, after Saul's testimony at the TRRC, 3 days, Barrow went and visited Saul. You think, why did Barrow do that? Visited Saul to show solidarity. And look, Barrow could have visited Saul anywhere or asked Saul to meet him or whatever it is, but he have to make a statement, because Saul was working on a project to steal the elections. He have to reassure Saul. This is how I believe in your loyalty. This is how I'm loyal to you. I will protect you, because it was necessary, because of he have to rely on Saul and Saul mechanism of stealing the elections with the other things they did. But Saul have lost a leverage. He went into cabinet to build a leverage there, and his ill health have caused that. Muhammad Jah then regained lost grounds. Because why did I say Muhammad Jah regained lost grounds? At that time of Saul going into cabinet, Muhammad Jah did not see that coming. Muhammad Jah thought Saul was part of the people he would use to galvanize and support, so that could convince Barrow. But latter part he realized no, Saul wants it for himself as well. Then Muhammad Jah, when that happened, he lost leverage. But when Saul went into difficulties, and now he technically sidelined, his ambitions are technically sidelined. Now he's concentrating on his health. Muhammad Jah gained a leverage. Now this oligarchy, I'm coming to it. From CDCC become in the role CDCC played in the behind the scenes. That's why people are surprised. When did he become NPP? He was NPP when he was working. He admitted it after. When he was working, pretending to be journalist, pretending to be neutral. Go and see the political hack job he was doing for NPP. And who you think suggested him, and to make sure that even GT or anybody else, so many people wanted to be a candidate for Birkama, but it was guaranteed to him. He lost the candidature of the elections in Birkama. Guess what? 2 weeks he was appointed administrative secretary of NPP because of his handpicked by Muhammad Jah. Muhammad Jah appointed the finance minister. Muhammad Jah appointed the present trade minister, who replaced the financial minister, who was the trade minister. Muhammad Jah have appointed. He was responsible for the appointment of Sidiketa, who was the trade minister, and from Sidiketa taking over from Mambo Njai. And so many other people's appointment was done by Muhammad Jah. When Muhammad Jah wanted to control Pura, the regulator, he put one of his friends there, Yusufa Job. Yusufa Job went on to give a license to Badrambai, who was running. Badrambai and I used to call him a cousin. Actually, families explain. No, he's my nephew, Alpha Barik. They had a company. I forget the name of the company. They went for a license to operate a satellite kind of very advanced satellite kind of a mobile network. And Muhammad Jah didn't want that. But Badrambai was a friend of a friend. Badrambai was a friend to Yusufa Job from their time studying in the UK here, ACCA. I think Imul Wolf College or something like that, but I mean in England. And obviously, I'm not saying that it's just because of the friendship, but their project might be viable. And they have the right to a license and given to a license. Muhammad Jah was not happy. Guess what? He probed, Yusufa Job out. And Yusufa Job should not even have been appointed because he was corrupt to the core. He was sacked at the AU parliament for corruption. Records, are accessible online. But because of Muhammad Jah, he was the Pura chairman of Pura or chair of Pura. Now Muhammad Jah put one of his family members there now, Njoguba, so that he can have what he wants. I don't know why still how to call him? Why still Badrambai's and Alpha Bari's company did not start? I don't know why, but I know they're building a big office. Probably they're gonna come up, but because Muhammad Jah was not happy. And the defense minister, we all know now he's clueless. I said it before. He doesn't understand policy. He doesn't know. He's just there as a symbol. He was promoted under Yahya Jammeh because he was huge. He was promoted to Yahya Jammeh because he's loyal to Yahya Jammeh, and he was always around Yahya Jammeh until that rank. Now he become have you ever had anything? He said, "Oh, I didn't even know who pays. Economic. I didn't know this. I didn't know." He doesn't know. He's just quite there. As a symbol. And most of other appointments are done by Muhammad strategically. Now, Gambia should ask, where is the NPP getting the money to build all these offices? All these offices. And Barrow has said this again. I want to make sure that when he said this before, that's about months ago, when he visited one of the offices open, when NPP government would stay in power for a long time, because that would be his security. And these people are putting money in there. Where is this money coming from? Let me come to that. Gambia, we all saw the procurement of these vehicles of 100. 13 vehicles are not accounted for, and Gambians are not saying anything. 100 vehicles are going to be paid for, and 13 were not accounted for. And now where are these vehicles? They are already being used. Why do you think we're using all these vehicles? We don't need the vehicles before. It was only needed for OIC. But, again, political, it's going to be used for the NPP technically. And next minute, Gambians will not have no account of it. Why? I am going to publish tomorrow. We did the investigation now and published how they went about the procurement of this vehicle, how Muhammad Jah benefited. There is a pending procurement of tractors which are going to, and I can tell you already Muhammad Jah is likely to take that procurement. Another kickback will be coming to Barrow, but kickback will be going to NPP to build their offices and order to fund their politics. Muhammad Jah is already using South Koreans in order to build an agricultural industry for himself. Gamtel is going to be, on sale. It's likely to go to Muhammad Jah. You see? This is what they're building. We all seen the PR that QTV is giving, Q Radio is giving to Muhammad, to Barrow, and we have seen now how Muhammad Jah is positioning himself. But there's one else to come. These are oligarchs. That's how oligarchs are built. They build themselves as oligarchs. You have Siddiqata there, Boisedi there at Central Bank building himself with networks of people around him. He's disbursing out, grants or loans of 100 million to business people. We don't know who they are. He refused to tell us who they are, and others and others. It's all part of this oligarchs building up, taking over industries, taking over everything. Now it will be difficult even for a another government to come and this is what is happening in Senegal now. They're thinking that they can destabilize Pastef because everything is controlled by Maki's people. But Pastef have a plan. That's why they're concentrating on the basics to keep tight. Then they'll go into the assault. I'm not going into that. But I understand what they're dealing with. People who are in a rush thinking they know their game plan. They are shoring the defense. They are shoring up their defense, and they're ready and they go for the assault. Because if they go for the assault now, they'll be disseminated. Because what have been planted there. Almost every industry, every other thing is media, and everything else is in the hands of oligarchs, supporting Macky. We'll get to that. Now, with all these businesses, the powers that Muhammad Jah has, now Muhammad Jah have become the favorite. They took over. Boisedi and the UDP within NPP are even thinking of rebelling to I'm not saying that Boisedi will be their candidate, but I can tell you rebelling to form a political party, to break away. I am not saying it's going to happen. That's what they are dealing with now. Knowing the opportunists they are, they might be bought by Muhammad Jah, one after the other, because they don't believe in anything. That's why you see them looking around now. Now, Muhammad Jah is now the fourth runner. This is why Barrow is trying to silence it and deflecting people to look at what UDP is doing, what UDP in fighting is. Yes, that's evident. It's in the open. In fighting in UDP is in the open. But he doesn't want us to look at the infighting in NPP. And he wants Muhammad Jah now to consolidate. And I tell you why. Why Muhammad Jah had a leverage now. Because of Muhammad Jah's dislike within the corridors of power. By the other groups, they dislike him because he is arrogant and he wants everything for himself. There are so many business patrons that support Barrow. Business patrons that support Barrow, they have been kicked out. The only business patrons that are surviving now are the one from URR, directly connected to Barrow. And I will come to them. That's the oligarchs I'm talking about. What Muhammad Jah doing now, Muhammad Jah got Yankuba Dabo of GRA. And I'm not going to names because I don't want some of this, give them the relevance. You will see some of these so-called, some of them who have built Barrow youth movement before. Even some people within some so-called Gambian influences are running around. They already have their WhatsApp group. Now they're doing their mobilization, saying that they're going to build a political party. It's a lie. They're building the same thing. They're building a leverage for Muhammad Jah and Yankuba Dabo of GRA because of the corruption that Yankuba Dabo have undertaken, the kickbacks that Yankuba Dabo have given. That's why collecting tax is not the only issue. How much of tax is going to us, the people? Now, Muhammad Jah and Yankuba Dabo are here, and now the Yankuba Dabo is creating a faction. I don't want to get in there, but what Muhammad Jah is doing is to try to galvanize what they call a Mandinka base in order to undermine and build a blessing to bring a Mandinka base onto Muhammad Jah. That's what Yankuba Dabo's team doing now. I'm not going to name even the people responsible, but open your eyes and look at, even on social media, you see the evidence. I don't need to tell you. Now they're galvanizing this to bring it. Now, to build this leverage. Down the line, that group will come out to say that they are allies to Muhammad Jah. Something like that. Or they support Muhammad Jah. We see by elections. This is what they try. Now, the other thing, the most recent development on Muhammad Jah's leverage, and to show evidence, that's why I say facts. Remember, we talked about Barrow desires, and those desires were translated, communicated into a law, which law? That amendment bill, ex-president's amendment bill, for Barrow to have a residence. Barrow already have many residents, I can tell you that, many. And we all know that he's got a palace in Makamukunda. But this he wants around the seats of power in Fajara. In the bill, what it says, to build a compound for the ex-president or pay rent for the ex-president. Now, I want to put this in a question form. The reason I'm putting it in a question form is I've close to the answers, but I'm still trying to get certain points of evidence. I've got some evidence, certain points of evidence to be conclusive. I'm putting this into questions. One, a fact. There's a residence in Fajara. If you're coming from Bakau towards the Fajara Hotel, before you get to the water tank, what we used to call as kids BOC, but it's water tank where you see the water tank there. Before you get to that hill, there's a resident on the side of after Jawara's compound, after MRC, Jawara's compound, after Jawara's compound, about 3 compounds after. There was a residence which is owned by government, which was owned by the colonial administration, transferred to Gambia government. Later, repossessed by Yaya Jammeh, because Yaya Jammeh's family members were staying there, but it was used for chief justices. Sir Philip Bridges was the longest serving chief justice from the colonial to the Jawara days until the late 80s, was living there. At that residence, then the Nigerian chief justices lived there. After it was not maintained, and now Jammeh gave it to his family members, or they were staying there. Now that property is on the Barrow. How did they do that? That's where I'm asking question. I have the evidence and fact that it's on the Barrow. Now, how did it get to Barrow? This is what we want to know. Was the property under Jammeh transferred from the Janneh Commission to personally to Barrow? Or the property was under Jammeh, from the Janneh Commission transferred to Gambia government, and Gambia government transferred to Barrow? We have to establish that fact, and I hope the MPs will ask the question. It's government property. That's fact 1. Fact 2, the property is being developed by Muhammad Jah under supervision of Muhammad Jah. Fact. Not I think, they say. Fact. It's been developed under supervision of Muhammad Jah. Now, the other question I want to ask, how is Muhammad Jah, or what's this relation of Muhammad Jah supervising it? Is he supervising as a contractor? Because of he have now a construction company. I'm asking if he have a construction company. We have reports that he have a construction company now. The company that built his house along the same route, very close to the depot. That's where the coconut plantations were, around there, somewhere around there, by opposite the Bakau Clinic, Bakau Health Center. We used to call there Mike, where Michael was. A property around there, built by Muhammad Jah, people say in millions of dollars. The people that built that property, apparently, again, this is what I'm saying, that Muhammad Jah had converted or took over these people and form a company or consortium or whatever it is. Now they are building Barrow's property. You go there, it's few defense, PIU officers, and so on and so forth. That's a fact. Muhammad Jah is involved. Now, the question again is, I don't know where the money is coming from. Is government sponsoring that? I've not seen that evidence in our budget. There's no budget line for that yet. Are they going down the line to introduce a budget line? Next budget. Because they already put it in law that either we build a property for the ex-president or we rent for the ex-president. Now, where is the money coming from to build that? What's Muhammad Jah's relationship in building it? Where is money coming from to building it? I'm asking a question again. Is the money coming from the kickbacks that they given to, from the contract they given to Muhammad Jah, from the GTSC bosses, from the these 100 vehicles? There's another deal which is complex. You know the Julbrew complex, Julbrew land was sold to Muhammad Jah for $1 million. I don't have time to go into that, but I can tell you there's a controversy in that. It's a long explanation of how highly likely that there's a deal going on there and that property is sold to Muhammad Jah for $1 million. The Julbrew, where Julbrew was occupying. There are so many other deals. There's a tractor deal coming in. There's an agricultural project deal coming in. There's Gamtel being sold and everything else. I'm asking these questions again, and Gambians should ask: is Muhammad Jah been paying kickbacks by building this property for Barrow, so that Barrow can occupy this property and ask us to pay rent? And that would be feasible if Barrow ensure that the government coming next is the government that he supports. We have to ask the questions, because from our contracts, we haven't got the evidence. That's why I'm asking the questions. We have evidence so far of what I've explained, and the other things I'm putting it on questions so that we get the proof. The narrative is here that the money being built is from the kickbacks, and now Barrow, if the compound was built by government, would be government compound. But if it's built for Barrow to say that Barrow built the property, now it's Barrow's property, now government will be paying rent. You see, they think that they can do these things and keep it longer into their family. It's about building generational wealth. Because if it's government compound, there will come a time a government will seek it. That's another thing that oligarchs does. Go and study oligarchs, how they operate, how they control the economy. I think this is enough evidence now for Muhammad Jah's position on that. But again, remember, as I said, not only Muhammad Jah now, he is linked with Yankuba Dabo. I mean, GRA, that's why Barrow would never change Yankuba Dabo. Or now, if I say never change Yankuba Dabo, Yankuba Dabo can be changed and continue just to enjoy himself. But that's for Gambians now to think of what we are going through. That's why I said the question should not be whether Barrow would run third term or not, but what government we're going to have after Barrow. To make so we determine the government we have after Barrow. Now, let's move on to this. Muhammad Jah from URR. I don't know, yeah. We all seen the same game being played out here. Muhammad Jah, Mohamed Silla, now they are trying to protect them to dominate the cement import business. As I said, look, then I'm not going into the debate as we have an industry. We don't have a cement manufacturing industry. Muhammad Jah of Jah Oil is already in Senegal. 10 tankers buying cement from Senegal. You call that an industry? And people say, oh, we should do this for them so that we don't import cement from Senegal. That's crap. Just put it here. We have that debate before. We have seen that going on. What I said, oligarchs, what they do, they control the economy. Barrow wants oligarchs to control everything Gambia in order, again, the NPP would be in charge forever. That's what he's telling you. Now, sorry guys, I'm not reading the comments, not out of disrespect. I just want to concentrate on bringing this. If I start to, I'll be distracted. I just want to present this. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of comments coming in, but continue. I'll read them when I finish, and it will be useful. But now, the same, how to call it, Jah Oil. Remember recently, $50 million. This government created the same protection to protect Jah Oil, to say that Jah Oil was the only Gambian capable of taking the loan and to guarantee that he's going to pay the loan. I'm saying that that's nonsense in two senses. You cannot turn around to give $50 million to someone who's not an agro economics, someone who haven't got the equipment to run. You see, it's easy to buy and sell, but it's difficult to start, grow, produce to industry and markets. It's difficult. Even companies get it wrong. And when it goes wrong, it's disaster. And the company Jah Oil runs, it's run on Jah Oil. It's like most African companies. God forbid today something happened to Jah Oil. I'm not praying for that. I'm saying this because the reason I am even thinking of that is because of what is involved here. You think there'll be stability in the company? But even if he's alive, you think he have control over, he can control the $50 million? I am telling you here, the chances, I'm not saying 100%, they're highly likely that the project is going to run into trouble. If there's there are so many things too. That's why investments like this are spread the risk. But not only you spreading the risk, you are diversifying the investment into different things. Gambians don't eat rice alone. Or one Gambian is not operating in rice alone. And to say that, oh, this is coming from a donor partner and they want to give this loan and this is a no. A donor partner approach you with this kind of concession, you can negotiate it. To say that to the best of our interests, we want to spread this loan to 50 portfolio or 100 portfolios. There are small and medium investments already. We want to get into the small investment so that they can grow to medium. We want to go to the medium investment, they can become big in these things. And so that they can, we can control the risk involved. How many Gambians today are into rice development? You have Bachili, you have Musa Dabo, you have, so many others. In horticulture, in animal husbandry, in onion production, we have seen this. Why it was the 50 million not spread to them? No. He wants to create oligarchs. Jah Oil now is into everything and he become an oligarch linked to the government. Now that's why when we look at what Barrow is saying about his tour, calling it an industrial tour, look at most of the places he's visiting. If it comes to agriculture, some of these ones are private Gambian-owned farms, which is very good. But none of these people benefited from the 50 million. And look at this investment. You have seen the gentleman name and how many people from the diaspora, for that matter, and in agriculture right now. People who have the dedication, people who have acquired knowledge, people who are exposed into ways of doing things differently and so on and so forth, people who are healthy, people who, by going back home to invest, it just shows you how dedicated they are. Why don't you want to invest in them? The others are Indian-owned farms, foreign-owned farms. It's good, but why are we letting them have 100% operation ownership of these farms? Where is the community they're taking the land from? The water they're taking from is from the community. Whether it's rainwater or river water, it's owned by Gambian people. And most of these people are farming to export, not to feed us. And they are going to own this. And for how many years? Why not their investment tie with the communities they work for, and not only for the communities to be laborers, especially our women that have no other choice than to go and toil in these farms to be paid peanuts. Because these companies would not do anything to pass the expertise that it needs. They will bring Indian workers. They will even bring Indian laborers and turn around to say Gambian youths are lazy. No, they aspire to do something different, not to be laborers for Indians. As a government, we could make those youths have ownership of those investments? Why can't we draw, policies that will encourage, foreign direct investment, but to invest in communities and with the communities to benefit our nation, not just to we give them everything. Tax concessions, they did the land from, and to say, oh, they bought the land from the community for how much? Nonsense. Peanuts. Our river, our this, and we think that, that river water would just be there. These are, what economic tour is, what this industrial tour is this? But again, he have talked about classrooms being built. I said, thank you very much for MRC Holland Foundation. We know that it would not have been built without them. Or what would have been built would not be fit for purpose. He's talking about hospitals, clinics, or whatever it is. It's not about the building. It's about maintaining a healthcare system. Go and look at Edward Francis Small Hospital with the corruption and everything. Go and look at, and that is something in the headlines now. But almost every institution is the same. Just as when you look at the local government, and corruption, every institution in the Gambia is the same because of the head of the snake is Adam Barrow himself. That's why every institution, every corruption in that country will be traced to Adam Barrow. And if I say that even for the local government councils, it's because of those people doing the stealing are directly taking advantage because of they have swear allegiances or supporter of the NPP. And let's wait for the reports to come out. And once it ended, we see whether there will be justice, to be served. You'll be surprised it will be just as another commission. Because those who are really linked to NPP will never get punished. Now, saying all this, as I said, what President Barrow said about UDP, it's a fact. There's a rivalry. There's a kind of a competition to the leadership. But so is the NPP. And the only reason President Barrow saying I'm going to run is because of to deflect, to control. But I've presented what we would likely going to have. As I said, if President Barrow runs because of he could not find the person he trusts to take over from him, or the person that who can win, then he have no other choice than to do a kamikaze. The kamikaze that this man does, Macky Sall, until Gambians decide what they need, because Senegal decide what they need. If it was left for Macky Sall would still be there. If it was left for Macky Sall, someone else would be there, if not even back. But everything else, Senegal determined at the final decision. That's why I said that the responsibility should be with the opposition. Barrow and his people have already decided what they want. And they're going to decide what they want. But what they want is not the best for Gambia, then the opposition have to decide that. And if I say the opposition, don't fall for this gimmick that Barrow is playing to make the opposition to be UDP. Every Gambian have a right to be in opposition, whether to form an opposition or to be as opposition supporter. What's important it is you be a genuine opposition to do something for our national good. Now, the strategy is here again. Now, it's about to make Gambians to concentrate on UDP and everything to say that it's NPP, UDP. And then they will turn the communication to, look at the two lesser evils. And how do you determine the two lesser evils? They will go and work on communication strategy that will left foot the UDP. And UDP to be seen as a tribal party, UDP seen as a violent party. Gambia. That's why Adam Barrow have already incited this violence. But are people talking about, look at the people who are talking about Adam Barrow violence. I said to you guys that there are people in this within us that opposed the opposition. Yeah, and they want to make you believe that they are opposition. They oppose the opposition. You never see them. They will be asked. They have not heard what Adam Barrow said. It's said in Mandinka, it's interpreted in Wolof, it's printed in English. There's no excuse that you have not seen it. But you see, this is why Adam Barrow gets away with it. And that's why Yahya Jammeh got away with it. That's why Jawara got away with it. Even to the extent of labeling PDOIS a communist and a non-believer party, and today is still sick on Gambian minds. That's why we have to be very careful. Let's take this statement very seriously. Let's understand the strategy they use. Let's understand the strategy. We are in opposition. I don't belong to any party and have no intention to belong to any party for the foreseeable future. If I belong to a party, it would be a party that I'll be a founding member. I say that very clear. I am open to listen to any opposition. I am open to support any opposition where I can. I'm not going to be party card carrier for any opposition party. And I am not going to campaign for any single opposition leader. I'll campaign and keep my neutrality to support an opposition in a democracy, to grow our democracy. The reason being, I know my neutrality is quite important to what I do and my impact. And I want to take responsibility for everything I say, everything I do. I don't want to be limited by, because I belong here, I have to be careful what I say, or there, or no. That's why I said here, my aspirations, what I want to see for Gambia is a viable democracy. I don't want to even see a two-party state. Right now, Senegal is in the danger of that. If the opposition cannot revive, yes, some people might be surprised, oh, how come Ben said now he wants to support the opposition in Senegal? Yes, I want to see a vibrant opposition in Senegal, because that would be the better for their democracy. Because if this passive government did not have a viable opposition, I can tell you they will not deliver. They will not deliver. That's why I want, right now in the United Kingdom, this is the problem we're having. Right now in the United Kingdom, we have the Conservative and Labour. I'm not voting for neither. And I'm not going to vote for communist parties, workers' parties, all those communists. No. I might give it to the Greens, even though I know they're not going to win. I'll give it to the Greens. My conscience. I will not see what is happening in the world. I will not see what is happening in Israel. And I go after to support a party that aligns with that. But I'm not going to support a party because they are not only aligned to what is happening, aligning with Israel. No, because there are other factors I'll consider. This is why I'm saying in Gambia, it's a fact that the main opposition is UDP. But it's UDP's responsibility, it's UDP leadership responsibility to take control of their party, to make sure their party is viable to win elections. Where does that leave the other opposition? The other opposition should stop opposing opposition. It's not, don't fall for this narrative, it's either UDP or NPP. There's a third way. It is possible. It's electronically possible to have a third party. And that's better for our democracy. Whichever opposition wins would be better. Why say would be better? You can align to say, I want this. This is what you want, then go and support that. If you believe that you want, the only thing you want is an anti-establishment, go and find a way to support an anti-establishment party. If you think that UDP is a mainstream, they are not a solution to your problems, then go and find another alternative and support them. But it's not to your advantage to not do anything about it, but to say that, oh, yeah, I would rather not do anything, or I'd rather just support Barrow. I tell you one thing. Regime change, system change. You cannot have system change without regime change. And it's good for democracy, in fact, so that if whatever case is, that regime is changed. You see, System change doesn't just happen in a term. System change is a process. Most people tell system change, they cannot define you what it would need to be changed, but how can it be? Senegal did not just, you see, passive did not just emerge and be passive. It's a process to get to passive. It's a process to get to passive. Senegal had to change so many regimes. They had to change from Senghor to Abdou Diouf, even though it was passed on. But they had to change from Abdou Diouf to Wade to Macky Sall. And if I had time, I would explain a lot about this change factor and many circumstances that arises for that to happen. For passive to happen. Passive would not have happened years ago, because the environment that would make passive happen, it's now. The control of social media, the population, youth population of Senegal in the urban settlements, and the mistakes that Macky Sall have done. These are the things. Gambia, we are ripe for that, but we have to work for that. Now, what are we going to achieve? How are we going to achieve it? Is it possible within these 2 years to form an anti-establishment movement and a party to get Barrow out? And then assure that that anti-establishment movement would bring about the transformations and the real change that, or the system change you aspire for? Or is it an anti-establishment will be in the mix? If they don't do it, they could not change now. UDP might win, and if UDP wins, it's at least a regime change, and the anti-establishment would be in position to challenge UDP to make sure they come out and get them out. That's what Passive did. Passive ran for elections. They did not make it 15%, but look at 15% to 54%. What a leap. What a leap. But it was done from this sweat and tears and blood, dedication, to be sincere, and to oppose the government, not oppose opposition. Oppose the government, not oppose opposition. Now, I will tell you something about the opposition. And that will come into geopolitics. Let me see where to bring it. And that will come to geopolitics. Let me just go straight to geopolitics. I'll leave the other things because I don't want this tape to be long. It's already long. It's gone 1 hour, 20 minutes. Let me go to geopolitics. Why am I going to geopolitics? And I am going to point to there's certain things I cannot even say. I will not say. And let me just say that about what is happening around Barrow. Some of the things I cannot even say. When he was in Makamakunda, his homestead, during this tour a few days ago, there was a meeting. There was a meeting. And in that meeting, I'm not even going to mention the people in that meeting. But in that meeting, I was a topic for discussion. And I've been a topic for discussion for a while, but even recently. And one thing that Barrow said, who is passing all this information to me, Benswa? 1. 2, why I am continuing to attack him and attack his people. Why that point of attacking his people? Barrow was really furious for that. And who are his people? These are not card carriers. These are the Muhammad Jah and others. He doesn't like me, attacking them. Because of that is exposing. Because this is what the opposition are not even doing. This is exposing him and exposing his weakness and hitting him where it hurts. They had a meeting. And Dr. Sise was in that meeting. But they are private, they were private media house owners in that meeting. I'm not going to name them. I don't like to be giving people relevance in that sense. I go for the government officers. Obviously, it was their communication strategy. They are not giving their money worth, the coverage. But they don't know how to handle me. Again, the other thing they talk about was UDP. Technically, I'm saying this for a reason. The other thing was UDP me. I was not surprised when he went to when he went to North Bank. This is why it's relevant. When he went to North Bank, this confirmed every intelligence I have about the discussion, and that's what transpired at North Bank. What transpired at North Bank? It's about make it about UDP and insulate your defenses because of people like Ben Swai pointing out that there's a split in your party. Now just say that you are the candidate, and let's forget. People forget. Ben Swai have a contraction. A way I present my stuff, and I am not dictated by other things. I know what I'm looking for and where I'm going, how I contribute, and how I believe that I impact. That's what I am doing. This is happening now. If you realize that, Barrow talk about competing how huge or big his political bureaus are compared to UDP. That looks like a shopkeeper's place, and it's going to end up to be a shopkeeper's place. But now Gambians should ask where this money coming from. And he's talking about these schools and everything else. But at the same time, our deficit is budget deficit is 4 billion. And do you know why our budget deficit is 4 billion? Because of some of these projects are all part of the corruption. Roads he's talking about, most of them are overpriced. All of them are overpriced for that matter and not fit for purpose. This is why we have the deficit. And because all these roads are given out to Abubakar Jawara, to Guy Construction, to Gambisara, to Pigmafort, to all these political patrons, again, oligarchies, for kickbacks to NPP. That's why NPP is filled with money. That's why they have that money. That's why these things. And at this moment, we are approaching the rainy season. Do you hear them talking about what they're doing for the rainy season? We all know the failure of the trade season. The governors not bought, and every controversy that happened there, and the corruption that happened there. They are not telling us about the fertilizer, about the sheets and other things, preparation. We all have seen the evidence of what is happening in Senegal. That's why we need to concentrate the fire on holding this government accountable. It will make the possibility of change and possibility of opposition coming to power, be it UDP or a third force. Yes, there should be a third force. I say it, emphasize. But no, that's where we should concentrate our fire, not among ourselves about tribalism, about this. Yes, there's tribalism, but it's a mechanism used by regimes from the colonials to Jawara to Yaya Jammeh, making it a mechanism in full force. And that's what Barrow is relying on. It's not that Fullers would hate Jolas or Jolas hate Mandinkas hate this. No, that's not the fact. It's because of the resources, how they manipulate to control the resources, how they manipulate because of opposition, political parties control access to get to power. That's why it reflects there. Go and see when people want to get married. They look for the man that had the potentials or the one they would think they believe or they love. Or can take, they can build a future with. I don't want to use the word take care of because, look, men are not taking care of women. It's a partnership. That's what they look for. How beautiful is the woman? Whatever you look into a woman. Even what family background he's come from. At times it's not even the other things you think of family background. They are famous. At times some people marry for that. And there's nothing wrong with it. Even Islam. And so on. The man you marry, that's what you look for. Is it a Jola? No. They looked at him. Oh, is it a Fuller? No. Is it a Mandinka? No. Most cases where the people are even informed or influenced, they look for the influence. more than anything else. And some men will look for, oh, is he educated? Some men don't want the education because for them that's a burden or that's a challenge. They don't want to deal with challenge. Then that's where we talk about the opposition to look for, to be, we are concentrating on holding accountability where it matters. Look at all this corruption we're talking about. Look at the healthcare system everywhere else. Barrow getting away with delivering Muhammad Jah, be paid for 100 vehicles when 13 vehicles are missing, we don't know. Those 13 are going somewhere. And so on and so on, what we all talk about here. They are not talking about. But let's look at all the things they talked about. That brings me to the Minister of Agriculture, talking about economic. Guys, if any of you have not heard of any group saying that they're going to demonstrate for economic to leave the country, and I've not heard that. And my presence on social media is huge. I've not seen a group, I've not had people advocating that they're going out to demonstrate for economic to leave the country. But I have had the Minister of Agriculture, instead of talking about agriculture, he's not the Interior Minister, he's not the Defense Minister, but what's his name again? That guy from Fonyi Bondali, the Agriculture Minister. Because I don't want to use the word doctor, that's why the name is not coming to me. But this guy is talking about this, and I'll tell you something. What is interesting about this? If any of you had it, that anybody's going to demonstrate, let me know. But I can tell you something about this. It's something different. If you follow the tour of the CDS, Gambia CDS, Muhammad Jah, and if you listen closely, Muhammad Jah went and met the Senegalese and talked about all our relationships and everything else. I can tell you that the communication was not meant for that group, but it's meant for the press for Senegal. I'm going to get there. And you had Muhammad Jah talk about the welfare of the soldiers, saying, oh, your terms and conditions are going to be arranged so that your take home will be better. Guys, if you put all this information together, just informations, I am telling you because I'm not relying on these informations, but people that know, we discussed this 2 weeks ago. We had a meeting and we discussed this, and the evidence are just, for us, these are just part of the evidence, and anecdotal evidence coming out from the people. And I'll tell you guys that we have to be very careful. The sub-region. You see, part of why President Barrow don't want to run is the presence of economic. President Barrow said he's not going to stay in government, and he wants the issue of economic address, his security and so on. But in fact, they are not going up the right way. Right now, the restructuring they're doing in the police. Have you seen the restructuring in the police? They are restructuring. This is why President Barrow appointed his brother-in-law to be the IG, who doesn't have background in policing, rather in immigration. There are so many other qualified police officers that could have been promoted, but no, he wants to put it but on the hands of a crony. Now that person now is formulating and putting positions. He have appointed the Interior Minister, who is now struggling with his health, who have delivered during the elections past as the Interior Minister, because President Barrow finds, not me, President Barrow finds the Siaka Sonko not capable. That's what he said, not me. Now he feels that these people are capable to do what he wants. But the recent promotions in the armed forces and everything, the restructuring in the armed forces are all pointing onto this position of if economic leaves the country. But guys, they're not doing it well. They're not doing it right. I'm not going to go deep into it because it might be termed as I'm inciting. No, I'll get to this. And you hear about the welfare. Why until now they never fix this? And whether to the TACO, the terms and conditions be looked at so that their take home will be a little bit more. It's not the solution. Because of the economy, it's not going to perform better. Inflation is going to hit us. We have a budget deficit of 4 million. We have diaspora contribution of 13.8 billion. What would we have done if we have a responsible government to transform this remittance? And what would have been done with the 50 million given to Jah Oil to be distributed among different communities in different investments? That would have made things different. But to increase the salary of soldiers is not the final solution. There's so much of challenges. Government don't have the money and means to keep on spending in that way. The corruption needed to be caught. But bringing it out now. Strategically, West Africa is in turmoil. ECOWAS is completely, look, don't be surprised and ECOWAS break off, completely just gone off. I'll tell you why. Now, we all know what's happening in the Sahel. We have seen what's happening with Guinea-Conakry, with the soldiers. Guinea-Conakry, Guinea-Conakry, Mali, Burkina Faso, and that place, Niger. And you have seen they're trying to enter Senegal. But I tell you one thing, Senegal will work closely with them. But Senegal will not promote any anti-democratic moves. Senegal will not promote any imperialist. Senegal is not going to change France with Russia. Senegal is not going to change anything. And I can tell you what, if Pastef wanted to do that, Pastef would have got billions of CFA or millions of dollars before the elections to fight. They refuse. I can tell you fact that the Russian oligarchs, Russian spies have approached Pastef. They refuse. They are mature. They know what they want for their country. But the importance of the sub-region, the trade economy, trade and security, Pastef are going to look at this very closely to have a normal relationship to these military governments. This is the reason why Bassirou Diomaye Faye did not visit all these countries yet. He went and visited what we perceive as the democratic elected governments. Nigeria, Ghana, and all these countries, Bissau and others. And the Prime Minister, who is head of government, obviously because of the importance of relationships, I think he's scheduled to visit these military governments. It does not mean that Pastef are going to support it. Pastef are going to work for the mutual interest, but the interest of Senegal, national security. Because Pastef, as I said, they too are insulating themselves because they have internal enemies. Because what they have, it's not a political rival. Macky Sall is not a political rival because Macky Sall still, the French will try to use anything to destabilize them. Look, I don't want to take that long, but if you understand the Cold War, what has happened with a lot of anti-establishment leaders, this is what Senegal is dealing with. They understand the game. Now, let's come to it. Recently, if you follow, the Russian foreign minister visited Guinea-Bissau, visited Sierra Leone. Do you know why? What does Guinea-Bissau and Sierra Leone have in common? They are both countries that their president are running their last term. And I can tell you for now, Madabio did not plan to leave office. Barrow did not plan to leave office. They have a problem. They have a problem of life after presidency. Barrow has realized that what he did to the opposition, the drug dealing he have been involved, and the fake coups he have invented, he cannot retire and stay in Guinea-Bissau. And The opposition is likely to win the elections because of they have won the local government elections and they have dominated the parliament, won badly. And now the government in Senegal is not favorable to support him on election manipulation front. It's a difficult choice for him now. Will he, I'm not saying he's going to do it, but this is where the intelligence experts are looking at. Would he want to stay for a third term? Would he need Russia? That's why Russia, their intelligence are already in all over Africa, especially West Africa right now. And I'll come to that. The reason why I emphasize West Africa. If you understand the eastern part of Africa, AFRICOM and China positions, and if you understand the not part of Africa, I'm not telling about China, but in fact Russia, Turkey. Russia is kind of trying to get hold into Libya, but I can tell you even Turkey have more leverage on Libya right now, on the Libyan government and so on. Why West Africa? I'll come to that. Now, Sierra Leone, the same thing. Mada Bio cannot finish and stay in that country. And most of these people now realize that to go into exile to Europe is expensive, because you will end up spending the money, every money you steal, your taxes and everything is very difficult, and you still, your life, it's just going to be difficult. And a third country to go to in Africa is always a problem, because African governments are not secure. You can be handed over anytime. And Madabio hope would be Gambia, that where he have ties because of the wife. But Madabio would realize and do assessment and say, look, the government in Gambia can change any day. Then it's not an option. Well, why I not take the risk of trying to work with, because economic, I'll come to economic. Economic will not be viable enough to protect me. But let me just do what the military juntas do. And remember, both of them are soldiers. Bissau and Sierra Leone, to get a security pact with Russia, and there are ways they do this thing, manipulate it and get Russia in, and Russia to tactfully give him the security he needs, and he can continue to govern. And I tell you, there's already a big kind of a push between the vice president in Sierra Leone and the president in Sierra Leone. People that know. Where does this leave the Gambia? I can tell you now, Gambia is in dilemma. And this is why the paranoia is coming and saying that, preempting that, if anyone protests against economic presence in the Gambia. Economic presence now, what President Barrow did, and this is fact, is they went to the international. The British government and other agencies were saying to Gambia, their reports is to Gambia government, and I can tell you the person, in fact, who wrote the brief, it's this National Security Advisor, Abu Jah, to say that. Because what this British and American embassies and other raise is the continued presence of economic in the Gambia is undermining security now, because there's a lot of disgruntlement within the Gambia armed forces. That's where I'm going to put it. Leave it. Now, what they did is, they said that, they want support for continued stay. The support does not mean money, but the support of diplomatic, maneuvering and so on, support for the continued stay of economic until the implementation of the TRRC. And now the international community are using this leverage that hence Gambia government is using an excuse that they want to implement the TRRC. Now they want to see them do it. And this is the pressure now the international community putting on Gambia government for the TRRC and the constitutional draft constitution and diaspora voting. And this is the reason why you see this movement the Gambia government doing. But I can tell you that diaspora voting, unless Gambians stand up to it, it's not going to happen. The draft constitution is only Gambians stand up to it, it's not going to happen, because they are going to manipulate it up to the last minute and they will drop it. unless Gambians are proactive to do it. I know Gambian organizations are working on that, but they have to really proactive. There's no political will to do this. Barrow doesn't want a new constitution. Barrow does not want a diaspora vote. But now, because of now, the international community is pushing them to do this, to implement it. Again, listen to the language of the Attorney General, Justice. This is why they're emphasizing that for Jammeh to be tried in the Gambia, the legislation they're putting up to emphasize, because they want that position so that it will be a tension to say that, because they know that there will be reaction from the APRC to pass this thing in cabinet or other things. Now, this tension, they would justify the presence of ECOMAG in our country. This is what they're doing. They're trying to use Jammeh's prosecution. Why can't they just say Jammeh will be prosecuted in another country? But they know they want to emphasize on it in the Gambia, which Jammeh might end up being prosecuted somewhere else, but they want the tension so that they can justify the presence of ECOMAG in the country. Let's think about that. Now, Gambia government is lobbying all this. The financial settlement for ECOMAG is not a problem. Macky Sall is still in charge of that. Remember, 3 years ago, or from the beginning, ECOMAG was sponsored by the European Union. When the European Union searched the affair, was pressing the Gambia government on security reforms, pressing the Gambia government on working on a time frame for the ECOMAG withdrawal. Gambia government was not happy about that. And what happened? When it was due for financing, Gambia government did not go to the EU for them to continue the financing, because the EU were going to put conditions on that to get this thing done. And if you Google it, you find it. The European Union says the affair came out to say it. It was asked a question: are you going to sponsor the Gambia government ECOMAG presence? And they said Gambia government have not put a request. Do you know why? Already they went through Macky Sall. Macky Sall went through Macron, and Macron is, I think, is 50 million straight to ECOWAS budget, and I think 200 million is coming as budget support in the Gambia, and that 200 million is linked to the ECOMAG present in the Gambia. It's not about money. But what has developed recently? Geopolitics again. You have seen the hostility from Gambia government towards Senegal. Now the CDS have realized that the government or Barrow is causing a real big trouble for them, because Barrow is antagonizing the Senegalese regime, government, new government, about the things Barrow is doing. And let me point to that. Barrow, about the cement tariff, it was negotiated between Barrow and Jomai. And Barrow said it was a mistake for them to raise the tariff drastically without, discussing it with Senegal. But they're going to recline it. Verbally, Barrow gave instructions for it to be reclined, because this increase was done 2 days before Jomai visited the Gambia first. And after the summit, what he did do, they just put back the increase, 500% increase, and that's the stalemate here. That's one. But the other thing is the way Jomai was received in the Gambia, his first visit. The way Barrow was talking down to Jomai, when he was telling Jomai that, we have a saying in our language that if if a host invites you and get off this bed and give you the bed, does not mean that you own the house, stuff like that, and so on, and so forth. Not only that, when Jomai came back, we have seen the treatment that allowing Sidi Njai, a deputy speaker, who's not even in cabinet, not the vice president, not the external affairs minister, Sidi Njai, to be seeing the Jomai Faye out of the Gambia. Not only that, the Minister of Trade of the Gambia went to Senegal to negotiate with the Senegalese counterpart to justify this increase. the cement. That's all they went for because they still want the monopoly. The Senegalese trade minister made the point that we cannot just deal in a single item here. Let's sit down on the table and bring everything involving trade and relationship and so on, and we have an agreement on. And we draw something out of that. And the Senegalese proposed the 4th, I think 4th of July, at Sali in Senegal, Mour, to have this, to bring the Gambian and Senegalese experts to sit. Guess what happened? The minister came back to the Gambia and they raised back the tariff to 500%. And if you say this is not hostile, what definition of hostile do you need? What definition of hostile? Now, what has happened too is, when Jomai traveled to Nigeria and Ghana, the president of ECOWAS, Toure, by the way, Toure's wife have been sidelined. Supposedly, she's supposed to be the Secretary General. You don't even hear about her. Technically, she doesn't have a job because of everything is done by the Chief of Staff, who is hooked to the president. But the minute now they realize they need Toure, they started to kind of elevate or give attention to the wife. This is an intel that came from State House now. But Toure had to travel when he's based in Abuja. He had to travel to Ghana to try to meet Ado, the Ghanaian president, to appeal and get support of the Ghanaian president, so that to have impress on Senegal to keep their forces in the Gambia or support the stay of economic in the Gambia. Why Ghana? Nigeria have no appetite for economic anymore. They have so much on their plate. Now, Gambia have already secured the support of Togo, Ivory Coast, Guinea-Bissau, and probably Sierra Leone. Now, Ghana they want to use, and for Ghanaian leverage, and because Nigeria is not on board. You know, apart from Senegal, it's Ghana and Nigeria, and I think Togo that have forces in the Gambia. Now, this is why the ECOWAS president went to Ghana to negotiate this. Now, this would inform you why an agriculture minister will go and talking about ECOWAS, economic, or people to demonstrate against economic. But let's go back to the geopolitics on Russia. This is why it's important for opposition to be very careful. And I can tell you a fact. The Russian intelligence is now in all of West Africa. Because they tried Senegal, they are not successful with Pastef. This is a fact. They want the westernmost point of West Africa. That's why they went to Bissau. But I can tell you they prefer Gambia. And there's a history to this, which I'm not going to go into from 2015. They ever wanted position in the Gambia. And I can tell you, there are already Gambians, business people, politicians, dealing with Russian spies. Yes, oligarchs. In order to get involved in our meddle in our politics. You know what happened in Madagascar? Madagascar, 32 oppositions were supported by Russia. I don't want that. 32. Go and Google that. Madagascar, 32. Because they wanted to control strategic. You have to look at Africa map and see where we sit. Go look at the world map where we sit. That's why they want a country like Gambia. They prefer than Bissau. If they don't have Gambia, because they're gonna have Senegal. Now they are working in our politics. They are present in our politics. Not only that, they are using people that they wanted to use in Senegal. They are members of opposition. Dealing with 2 Senegalese we identified. Those 2 Senegalese are into oil, but they have what? The oligarchs. They have Russian spies behind them. That's why I said I come out this today. I'm putting this because of this is where we are looking at The Gambia government did not even see what is coming to us. But to the interest of our nation, not to be destabilized. That's why the opposition have to be very careful and make sure we, insulate our democracy to keep these people away. Let us not be a geostrategic pawn to this Cold War. Let's keep our neutrality according to the non-allied South-South, no allied movement. You will see a lot. Money is already pouring in. And I can see you will see a lot in change in certain opposition people and members. 2026 is going to be an interesting time. And don't bother even to contact me to find out from me. This is a need to know. I'm just dropping to capture the attention of Gambians to look for themselves, and people that need to know will know. People that can do something about it will do. This is the reason I said I am not a political party person, because if this would have neutralized the position I am now to access this information, to able to work with this information, because I need the whole of the opposition to talk to, so that we can get the genuine opposition to stand and not to be infiltrated by Russian money and to get our country. And this is important to know. If ECOMOG leaves that country now without the reforms and the mechanisms ready, the Gambia will be destabilized because of the forces. I'll tell you, there's interest from Russia, India, there's interest from Turkey and all this, because those people are doing things differently. They already have influence in the government, they are looking at government. But Russia are looking to the opposition. And let nobody tell me, oh, yeah, Dingata Barrow am lumawasi opposition be. Look, I am not saying things that have not happened. And that's why I say people don't understand, say, do they support government? This is how I support government, to make sure democracy stands. It makes sure stability and security. We have to be very careful. The Russians are in town. And if I say the Russians in town, I think you might want to see a Russian citizen walking in our streets. No, it doesn't happen like that. Go and find out where they went to, how they do it. That's why I said these two Senegalese who are into oil interfering. And again, don't remember, there's a so-called billionaire in Nigeria approaching the government and going to the First Lady Foundation and pledge $1 million. That $1 million might not even materialize. Depends what that oligarch want, that Nigerian oligarch want from us. That's why I say they come in different ways. I'm not saying that the Russians are not trying to penetrate government itself to have a candidate or support existing. I can, just to give you an example, in Madagascar, they saw a need of hedging their bets in 32 candidates. This is the reason why we have to understand, and this program is all about that. What Barrow is saying, the oligarchs, Gambian oligarchs around Barrow, and what Barrow want to create. If we manage to be complacent here, the opposition, I'm talking about, and let Barrow to stay for a third term, or Barrow candidate to go to the third term, I can tell you the Gambia is going to be destabilized. Not me. I'm not saying that I'm going to destabilize the Gambia. Let it be clear. I'm saying the geopolitics strategy, what is happening. The government, what is going to happen is we will not be capable to maintain our sovereignty, and it will be violated. I'm not saying which forces are going to do it, but I can tell you that there are external forces that will be involved. And again, I hope our politicians will listen and even understand that 1981 did not happen in a vacuum. It was not only internal pressures that caused. It's not because of PPP was this or that. There was a geostrategic interference. Go and look at what happened in Liberia. Go and look at how it happened to Liberia, how Doe came into power, and see how much every other government that was changed, how it happened, how the similarity of what happened in Liberia, how Doe came to power, and how this guy want to come to power, how to call it. Then Kukai wanted to take over government. Go and look at how they use the Moja in Liberia. People like Emma Sawyer, Emma Sawyer's not part of it, but Dr. Oh God, I mean, so many. I mean, we have to look at these things. That's why I said I came out here, and I'll try by all means to come regularly to look at this important these things. But the opposition have to really wake up to this and understand why Barrow came out and the attack, and understand where we are today. Our economy is weak, and our government is weak, and there are people looking around to take it over, both from within government and within the opposition. And let us make sure we protect our democracy. Thank you very much, guys. It's a long one. It's gone to 2 hours. I never planned it to be, but I knew it was going to be long for it to be detailed for everyone to get it. Thank you very much. Thank you. I will read your messages later. And yeah, the informations are always useful. Thank you.